Good morning, and welcome to the Morning Report. My name is Willie Lawson. The Morning Report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, fightbackmedia.com. It is a pleasure. It is super a pleasure. It's one of those days, you guys know, about, what we've been dealing with in my house and stuff. And what I'm going to tell you is that although we all feel better, we all are back to our normal schedule, our normal lives, and we're fine, is that there are, I got to be honest with you, there are lingering effects. We all had, we talk about this in my household, we all had probably a pretty light viral load. And we were set up because, we had been taking care of our immune system and that kind of stuff. We've been getting enough sunshine. We've been active. Not athletically active, but we've been busy doing stuff, going places. Or taking our zinc, and I backed off the zinc. Zinc in my tummy. I don't eat enough. I know I'm a fat guy, but I don't eat enough to be taking zinc. I just don't eat enough to be taking zinc. But we and we've been taking our vitamin C and that kind of stuff. We've been trying to eat good and take care of our immune system. So we were as ready in our lifestyle for what happened as we could be. Yes, I have hypertension that is under control with medication, and I take my medication all the time. So you know what I'm saying? From where I am, we did the best to not have too adverse a reaction to the Rona, and it kind of worked out that way. Praise the Lord, it really did. So I didn't really have a bad case of it. Now I don't know. I don't have any idea what my viral load is. I'm just guessing that it wasn't very much a viral load. But even if it was a little higher than normal, even if it was, we were ready for it. We were as ready for it as we could be. But I'm going to tell you something. It does linger. It does linger. Just because you get tested negative doesn't mean that it doesn't linger. You still got a little cough. You still maybe don't have the energy that you did before. My energy is coming back a little bit more and more every day. My energy is coming back a little bit more every day. To give you an example, I teach privately Monday through Wednesday. Monday night when I got home, I was super tired. Last night, Tuesday night, not so much. And last night, I really wasn't tired at all when I got home. I actually sat down and did a Fight Back 2021 podcast. That's going to be available on Spreaker and everywhere else right when we get done with this. I thought I was going to upload it last night, but it got to be late, and I thought I should go to bed. I should go to bed. I should not be a 16-year-old and just stay up until I pass out. I should actually go to bed like a grown-up. So I didn't put it up. I recorded it. I edited it. I did the sound stuff to it to get the breaths out. Didn't work all that well. But so if you are, that reminds me, squirrel. If you are an expert at using Audition, not Audacity, but Audition, Adobe Audition, and you can tell me how to get the breath, the big breath out. Now, I'm gonna say that now. If you can't see them on the little graphic thing, how to use one of the filters to get them out, send me an email. You and I need to have a conversation. But anyway, so we did that last night, and it was cool. It was fun. And I went to bed on purpose. I didn't go to bed because I was exhausted and I had to drag my big butt to bed. I went to bed on purpose because it was time to go to bed. It was like 1:30. It was like, hell, it was like 1:45. Time to go to bed. And I woke up this morning a lot more rested. As you can see, it's 9:30, and we're doing the morning report. So I feel good. If I get my ankle straight, y'all pray for my ankle. If I get my ankle straight, I'm be a dangerous man. I'm be a dangerous man. So we got some, but this stuff lingers. So if you've had the Rona, let me know. Send me an email at fightbackmedia.com. Fightbackmedia@gmail.com. Let me take a sip of coffee here. Hang on. From my favorite coffee mug from my favorite YouTuber, Premier One Driver. You can get great stuff, some great swag, and you can have a coffee cup like mine at www.premieronedriver.com. Greg's a great guy, former military pilot, and he has his own private jet from his, they use this from his business and his family, and he flies us around the country, and he lets us sit in the right seat. It's great. It's great. Love the guy. Love the guy. There's some other folks I'm going to be telling you about soon. So you can sort of get a look into my world. You wonder, what does Willie do? Where's his mentality at? What's he about? And the kind of stuff that I like, the kind of stuff that I relax watching and doing, I watch and do, and what makes me relax and chill. I'm really into aviation now, so we'll share some of that stuff with you. All right, listen, we're going to take a little break and be back with some stories, and one of them is a super feel-good story, a feel-better story, really. It may not make you feel good, but it damn sure should make you feel better about, just life in general. Right after these messages. If you are a true blue conservative, small businesses are near and dear to your heart. They are the lifeblood of our life and economy. I believe this, and that's why my florist is not a website or phone number. My florist is Bloomingdale's Flower Shop, Tampa's premier flower shop. At 11618 North Florida Avenue here in Tampa, Florida, and at 6835 State Road 54 in Newport Richey. Call Christine at 813-933-1942 and at 727-232-6900. She can also be reached on the web at www.bloomingdays.com. We are in tumultuous times here on the internet. Many platforms are finally taking this opportunity to rid themselves of conservative voices. A lot of you are learning how this internet game is played and are wondering if there is a place for you online. Well, yes, there is. freedomforum.website is providing a place for everyone to be, including conservatives. freedomforum.website is dedicated to the First Amendment and free speech for everyone. Join us there and speak your mind. One of the things that I get asked most is, where can I get information that is not tainted with liberal bias, especially here in the Tampa Bay area? Well, now I have the answer. tbctampa.com, a website by and for Tampa area conservatives. Tampa's leading conservative voices speak freely at tbctampa.com, and you can too. So join the fun and enjoy the freedom at tbctampa.com. All right, welcome back. Welcome back to the Morning Report. My name is Willie Lawson. Again, the Morning Report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, fightbackmedia.com, fightbackmedia.com. I trust that you are well this glorious day. It's beautiful. I still got to get up. When I'm done with this, I got to get up and take the trash out. Can somebody remind me? If you're listening live, there is a chat room, and you can get there, I guess, if I share this. on the Facebook. I'll go ahead and share this on the Facebook. There's a chat room. If you click on the link and you can listen and you can interact live, if you'd like to. You don't have to. I can't make you do anything. I can't make you do anything that you don't want to do for sure. But you can interact live if you choose. There you go. I've got the chat room open and I'm actually looking at it. Listen, we want to get to Oregon. I have I had a dear friend that just left Oregon and a little bit ago, and they had been, and it's a shame because they were super excited about going to Oregon because of all the stuff that Oregon has to offer. Outdoor, a lot of outdoor activity, and it's a little bit more progressive, and it's just and Oregon's a beautiful, all that west, the west portion of the United States. It's just freaking gorgeous. Now y'all know I'm a Florida guy, but it's gorgeous. It's just gorgeous. I think a lot of times because we get caught up in all the human side of our lives, we don't look and see what a beautiful place this is. This place called the United States. I think that a lot of the focus is on, because the media is on big cities, Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, Detroit, Miami, that we just don't look at the rest of the country, the, quote, flyover states. Not that Oregon's a flyover state because it's on the West Coast, but, it isn't with the exception of Seattle, not a lot of major metropolitan areas. We sort of, put these areas up on a pedestal. When you just look around the country, there's some beauty. It's God's glory that it's just beautiful. And Oregon is a beautiful state, except it's full of people. It's full of people from Oregon and government. So this is what's happening in Oregon. How Dr. Fauci said, and to be fair, Fauci did say, and you guys know I'm not a fan, right? I'm not a fan of Dr. Fauci. But, in fairness, he said that, somebody asked him about wearing 2 masks, and he said, well, it seems like if you can wear one and get protection, it seems like common sense that, yeah, maybe you'll get more protection if you wear 2. Or he could have said, or 6 or 15. You could, if you're going to use that logic. And he also had to come out a couple of days later and said, there's no scientific evidence that says that wearing 2 masks is better than wearing 1. But now that he said it, when you see him now, he's double masked, which is just stupid. Matt Vespa from our friends at Town Hall writes, if you give them an inch, they'll take several hundred miles. That's what has to be ingrained in our minds when dealing with Democrats and their measures for public safety that are so nakedly political in the era of COVID. There are people who don't want to go back to normal. Dr. Anthony Fauci, Biden's COVID czar, gives these people daily ammunition to keep peddling fear. The vaccines are here. Cases are down. Deaths are down. It's over. Sorry, but it's time to start reopening the country. Over 100 million shots were administered. We've blown past the marker set by the previous administration. We can all thank Trump, by the way. In an unpublished study done in Israel, 1 dose of the Pfizer vaccine renders the subject virtually, quote, bulletproof, end quote, against COVID after 4 weeks. Dr. Marty Marquet of Johns Hopkins noted that in an op-ed for the Wall Street Journal, where he's been peddling a narrative of hope, and calls for more transparency regarding health professionals sharing the good news stemming from the medical advancements made during this pandemic. Yeah, we talked about Dr. Uh, Marker, Markary, sorry, Makary, a few days ago, where he just wants people to start telling the truth about what's going on, and some of the truth is good news. Actually, I think that's the frustrating part. Some of the truth is actually good news. The latest spat over a mask occurred last week between, of course, Senator Rand Paul and Fauci. Strikes at the heart of the debate. Paul rightfully asked Dr. Fauci why should those immune from COVID still be required to wear a mask, noting that in this case, it's merely theater. Boy, Fauci didn't like that. But mask wearing might become a permanent component to living in one liberal state. Oregon's health officials are proposing making the mask mandate permanent. Yeah, you heard what I said. Oregon state officials unveiled a new proposal in January which seeks to make temporary mask mandates permanent. The order passed in November by the state's Workplace Safety Department, which requires all employees to implement state-imposed guidelines for social distancing and mask compliance, is set to expire on May 4th. Oregon health bureaucrats are now seeking to make the rules permanent. Although the rule may be adopted as permanent, this is what they say, its purpose is to address the COVID-19 pandemic. The proposal reads, Oregon's Occupational Safety and Health intends to repeal the rule when it's no longer necessary to address the pandemic. So we're going to make this rule permanent, but we'll get rid of it when we don't need it anymore. How many adults with two brain cells to rub together believe any of this bull? Who? So as we roll our eyes, and this is Matt again. So as we roll our eyes over the double masking nonsense that has been peddled by the so-called experts, Oregon is proposing something much worse. The government rarely, if ever, rescinds such emergency powers. You have got to sue these people to get them to rescind anything. You've seen that, right? The government rarely ever likes to rescind such emergency powers, and Oregon seems poised to take their COVID power trip to the max. And here's what we found out. Here's what we know. Here's what we know about government. What we know about government is this, is that when they take power and they take ground, they never relinquish it. And especially the left. They never relinquish it. They try to take as much ground as humanly possible, and they never relinquish it. You know, that's why a lot of people are wondering, why are they still doing all this? Why? Because they move the goalpost, right? 15 days to flatten the curve. 15 days to flatten the curve. 15 days to flatten the curve. It's been more than a year. Have we flattened the curve? Well, the answer is yes. The answer is yes. The answer was yes when hospitals were able to do, quote, elective, end quote, surgeries again, which meant they were not overwhelmed. Our healthcare infrastructure did not crumble. It did not crumble. Our hospitals were not overwhelmed, and our healthcare system did not crumble. I know that mainstream media wants you to believe that it crumbled and it was terrible and it was awful and it was all Trump's fault. That's the narrative they want you to buy. That's the narrative that they want us to all buy. It's gaslighting. It never happened. They want you to believe it happened, but it never friggin' happened. Did it? No. Most of us know somebody who works in a hospital. Now, they'll tell you, yeah, if you're in a big city or whatever, and they're in a hospital that does a lot of work that way, yeah, it might have been touchy from time to time. It might have been touchy, but it was never overwhelmed, and it didn't crumble. That this narrative that people were out, laying out there dead and in trailers from COVID, that was never true. Now, some of not you probably, because my audience is, smart, know people who saw maybe a news report on this, and then that became truth for them. Although it never happened. Never happened. Not even a little bit. Because the rest of us saw videos of people, going to these hospitals and wondering where all these COVID patients that were stacked up in the hallways like cordwood. Where were they? Because you couldn't find them because they weren't there. The hard part about the era of COVID is that we're learning how easy it is for these people to look us right in the face, to get on national TV and lie to us. How easy it is for them to get on national television and lie to us. That's what we're learning. And that, my friends, if there's something about COVID to be afraid of and be frightened by, that's what we need to be frightened by. And how do we fight that? We fight that by making sure that you can get access to information that doesn't come through the mainstream media sources. And there's lots of it out there. I don't know, fightbackmedia.com, the Swanson Report, all sorts of other ways to get information. The best way is just to come here and talk to me every morning. That's the best way. Come here and talk to me every morning. You can access the show through fightbackmedia.com. You can access the show on Spotify, Spreaker, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, any number of wherever you get your podcasts. You can look for the Morning Report from Fightback Media. You can. So it's cool. All right, we'll be back with more of the Morning Report right after these messages. One of the things that I get asked most is, where can I get information that is not tainted with liberal bias, especially here in the Tampa Bay area? Well, now I have the answer. tbctampa.com, a website by and for Tampa area conservatives. Tampa's leading conservative voices speak freely at tbctampa.com, and you can too. So join the fun and enjoy the freedom at tbctampa.com. We are in tumultuous times here on the internet. Many platforms are finally taking this opportunity to rid themselves of conservative voices. A lot of you are learning how this internet game is played and are wondering if there is a place for you online. Well, yes, there is. freedomforum.website is providing a place for everyone to be, including conservatives. freedomforum.website is dedicated to the First Amendment and free speech for everyone. Join us there and speak your mind. If you are a true blue conservative, small businesses are near and dear to your heart. They are the lifeblood of our life and economy. I believe this, and that's why my florist is not a website or phone number. My florist is Bloomingdale's Flower Shop, Tampa's premier flower shop. At 11618 North Florida Avenue here in Tampa, Florida, and at 6835 State Road 54 in Newport Richey. Call Christine at 813-933-1942 and at 727-232-6900. She can also be reached on the web at www.bloomingdays.com.
A conservative who seeks truth over the conventional statist wisdom, coming to you from the southern headquarters of FightbackMedia.com, your host, Willie Lawson.
All right. Thank you ever so much, Paul. We appreciate you. Remember, FightbackMedia.com. That's where this comes from. This is how we do. FightbackMedia.com. FightbackMedia.com. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. And if you are interested in the Swanson Report, and if you're not a moron, you're interested in reading the Swanson Report, if you're not a moron, it is embedded inside the FightbackMedia.com website. Just slide over to more, slide down a couple, and bingo, bango, bingo, right there, the Swanson Report. It's like two websites in one. That's for my older friends. That's for my older fans. All right, let's see. We're going to end... Yeah, we're going to end this. What time is it? No, we're going to put a story in here that I think is a really feel better story. There's so much to be worried about, and there's so much that makes us feel like crap and makes us angry. It is a good idea to occasionally look at some things like that really restore our faith in human beings, you know. This is the story from the Western Journal, the lifestyle section. Let's see when the byline is, if I can find it. It's by Amanda Thompson. It was published 10 days ago. A story that you would not have heard, that you're not going to hear anywhere else but here, really. When 27-year-old Stephen Nava of Fontana, California, spotted a smartly dressed older gentleman living out of his car, he realized he knew the man, and it tore him to pieces. Jose Villarreal, whose students referred to him as Mr. V, fell on hard times last year when the pandemic changed the ways that schools operated, especially in a bullcrap state like California. Mr. V believed the door had closed on his time as a substitute teacher, even though he'd been working in that capacity for years. I'm going to tell you, if you're a good sub, that can be a career. You can work. You can work because teachers take, there's a lot of teachers, especially in a big state like California. And basically they take a lot of time off, and there's always a spot. If you work at a big high school, if you can get in good at a big high school, there's always a chance to work. Some adult there is taking the day off for whatever reason. So this is Nova said, I decided the school situation. This is Mr. V saying, I decided the school situation has changed completely. I believe that a job of a substitute was over. Somebody who's in and out of the school. He told KTTV in May, I submitted my resignation. I managed to do all the paperwork, all of the arrangements to get my pension. I got my check, but that check didn't last long because I had debts already. So he just the dude just ran out of money. The old 90s Thunderbird he lived in is familiar. Even if it's not luxurious, and Mr. V seemed to have made peace with his situation. He said, "My body is adapted to all the bumps and things from the seat." He explains, "It serves me as transportation, serves as a dining room, it serves as a bedroom." But while he may have come to terms with living out of his car, Nava, the 21-year-old, has not, and decided that he was going to do something for the teacher who'd once helped him. Nava says this, I usually see him almost every single day, and it got me to thinking, I've got to talk to him and know about his situation. I was just devastated and gutted for the reality of the pandemic and how it's left teachers without a job. And this is some of the results, and it's sad to see one of your own teachers go through that. So it only makes you want to help out more. He gave Mr. V $300, but he wanted to do more. So he got on the social media, Twitter, and started spreading Humble Mr. V's story. He did some videos, and he asked some friends to help out. He put up a GoFundMe. Long story short, he ended up raising $27,000 for Mr. V. That's what it's about. And this story touched me because you guys know that I spent 15 years working in the public school system. I was an assistant teacher. My main job was to help students. My main job was to help students pass the Florida Competency Achievement Test, which was a graduation requirement in mathematics. That was my main job. So I worked in a classroom setting. I also worked in a one-on-one setting. I understand the power of a good substitute, but this is about a person who will go into a classroom, will go into a school, and have an impact, a positive impact on children. And there aren't many subs that do. There are some, because I have worked with some. Some subs that the kids love seeing come. Some subs that they like better than their regular teachers. Not because it's a free day, it's because they're going to learn something. And that sub has something to offer. Because you often wonder, why does this person is so good? Why are they a sub? For the freedom. And they don't need the money necessarily. Or they don't need the health care. They've got it from somewhere else or whatever. They just love the kids. They just love the kids. Because you're not going to get rich, obviously, being a substitute teacher. You're not going to get rich. You're not. You're not going to be able to have a mortgage and send 4 kids to college on the salary of an assistant teacher. You are not. And most of the subs that I know that. They know that. And they aren't trying to do that. And if they can become full-time teachers, if they have to do that, then they do that. But this story is about, obviously, the positive impact that this adult had on these students, especially Mr. Nava, Steve Nava, who saw Mr. V and said, you know what? This is a good guy. This is a good guy. He helped me. We got to do something. This shouldn't be going down like this. This dude shouldn't be going down, later in his life, living in his car. That ain't cool. And even if Mr. V has sort of come to terms with it and maybe not be good with it, but understands the situation and sort of, he ain't crying about it. He found a way to adapt, and he's doing it. That's all well and good, but he deserves better. He deserves better. And this kid, 21 years old, is improving Mr. V's situation. And that makes me happy. That makes me better. And I hope that makes you better too. All right, we're going to take a little break. We'll be back with our last story. And this isn't going to... That's the last story ain't going to make you happy. It's going to piss you off. It's going to make you angry. But you know what? I'm going to give you a way out. I'm going to give you a call to action like you've never seen. We'll be back right after these messages. If you are a true blue conservative, small businesses are near and dear to your heart. They are the lifeblood of our life and economy. I believe this, and that's why my florist is not a website or phone number. My florist is Blooming Days Flower Shop, Tampa's premier flower shop. At 11618 North Florida Avenue here in Tampa, Florida, and at 6835 State Road 54 in Newport Richey. Call Christine at 813-933-1942 and at 727-232-6900. She can also be reached on the web at www.bloomingdays.com. We are in tumultuous times here on the internet. Many platforms are finally taking this opportunity to rid themselves of conservative voices. A lot of you are learning how this internet game is played and are wondering if there is a place for you online. Well, yes, there is. freedomforum.website is providing a place for everyone to be, including conservatives. freedomforum.website is dedicated to the First Amendment and free speech for everyone. Join us there and speak your mind. One of the things that I get asked most is where can I get information that is not tainted with liberal bias, especially here in the Tampa Bay area. Well, now I have the answer. tbctampa.com, a website by and for Tampa area conservatives. Tampa's leading conservative voices speak freely at tbctampa.com, and you can too. So join the fun and enjoy the freedom at tbctampa.com. All right. Thank you ever so much for spending some time with us today. Again, my name is Willie Lawson. This is the Morning Report. The Morning Report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, fightbackmedia.com. We are thrilled and honored that you are hanging with us this morning. I just did a feel better story about Mr. V. The substitute teacher who was living in his car, and one of his former students came and said, you know what, this is not a good situation, and helped out with it. Now, I'm asking you to do the same thing for your nation. Here's the story. The update is that according to, this is from our friends at Town Hall as well, and this is Katie Pavlich. Thank you, Katie. The update is, according to the White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, President Biden is considering executive actions on gun control. The quote is, I don't have any of the facts on Colorado, but we definitely need a gun, but we definitely need a gun ban. This is their mentality. I don't know what happened in California. I mean, Colorado. I don't have any idea, but we need a gun ban. The way that he sees it is that there are a number of levers that any president of the United States can use. Psaki told reporters, including working through legislation, including executive action. There's an ongoing process, and I think we feel we have to work on multiple levels at the same time. Here's the post. Speaking from the White House on Tuesday afternoon, President Joe Biden admitted that he doesn't know or have all the facts about the shooting that took place in Boulder on Monday night. I do. Here's the headline. Radicalized Muslim, Syrian Muslim, goes into Jewish grocery store and kills 10 people. And the FBI knew who he was. That's the headline. That's the story. There isn't anything more to know, really. There's really nothing more to even consider, because that's the story. If Joe Biden doesn't know what happened, I just told you what happened. Here's what he says. I want to be very clear. I'm sure Joe Biden would love to be very clear. Except his current circumstances won't let him be clear. This is one thing I do know enough to say on in terms of what happened there. While we are still waiting for more information regarding the shooter, his motive, the weapons he used, the guns, the magazines, the weapons, the modifications that apparently have taken place with those weapons involved here, I don't need to wait another minute, let alone an hour, to take common sense steps. Now, they have used this phrase, common sense. They use it in a way that makes anything else not common sense. Anything else, any other viewpoint, foolish and dangerous and Neanderthal. When the fact of the matter is that the Second Amendment clearly says that the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Period. Period. So, let alone an hour to take common sense steps to save lives in the future and urge my colleagues in the House and Senate to act. We can ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines in this country once again. I've done that when I was a senator. It passed. It was a law for the longest time. We should do it again. The answer is no. If Joe Biden, and here's our call to action. Yeah, we're about out of time. Here's the Fight Back Media call to action. If President Biden, by executive fiat, tries to ban the sale, whether in a retail or private, the confiscation of weapons. Now, I know, now you know and I know, there's no such thing as an assault rifle or an assault weapon. That's a media term. We know that. You and I know that. So don't come at me saying, really, there's no such thing as an assault weapon. I know. And I know AR doesn't mean assault rifle. I know that. Oh, it means arm. It means armor light. It's a brand name. Here's the deal. You and I have to be ready to do a couple of things. The first thing we need to do, and we need to do this now, is that we need to get on the phone to our governor's office, and we need to make sure that they are ready with a gaggle of lawyers to sue the federal government and to sue Joe Biden in this obvious, ridiculous overstep of trying to negate the Constitution of the United States by executive order, by executive fiat. That's what we call a dictatorship. That's what we call a monarchy. We need to be ready. Actually, It should be all 50 states, but it won't be. But every state that has a Republican governor, for sure, Florida and others, should be ready to sue the federal government to stop them. I don't see how that works out. People will still have their ARs. Although, and I know that the shooter, the radicalized Muslim from Syria, a country that we bombed, and this guy who the FBI knew who he was, goes into a Jewish grocery store and kills 10 people. That's the headline. The FBI has failed again. I think we covered this yesterday. Yeah, the FBI, this is an FBI failure. We go through periods of time in this country where the FBI is like Ephraim Zimbalist Jr., and they are just on point. They're Elliot Ness. And right now, they're Elliot Mess. They got politicized, which the FBI does from time to time in its history, and it just is just circling around the toilet. It's just circling around the toilet. It needs to be flushed and cleaned, and the people out there who are putting their ass on the line every day against the bad guy need better leadership. That's all there is to it. They need better leadership. They need a better focus. It's time. It's time. But you've got your call to action, don't you? All right. We got to get out of here and make room for somebody else. So until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We will see you when we see you. Bye-bye now.
We appreciate the time you took today to listen to the broadcast. Please check the links below on how to further interact with the FightbackMedia.com network. Please remember to like and share this broadcast with your like-minded friends and family. Also, we'd appreciate your subscription to the broadcast, and make sure to hit the notification bell so you're notified when we upload new content.